So David, your collecting yard here, it's positioned, say you have 2 access points here.
Yes, down a straight line from there or from in here.
So they both can come in this way here?
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
okay.
And they're facing the parlour then.
Very good.
And then to exit to that side, they have to come down the flow channel, down that passage and away. That's working perfectly. I never have to go after them.
Do you find that they're anyway slow to move across it if there's cows here?
No, that time a cow will stop, the other one here on.
Yeah, okay.
I never have to shove them on.
Okay, so it gives you huge freedom, I suppose, to allow you to continue milking inside.
Yes,
without having to...
I don't have to go out.
Yeah.
We go out maybe once a month. That's about it, so that's relatively not...
Right. So your 84 cows then, say, when you bring them in, that you're milking, do you keep the gates closed in the parlour?
Leave them gates closed until I go in and turn on the machine, then open the gates and start. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And say, cleaning your collecting yard then, say, how do you do it? Are you using a hose or do you put the tractor on it periodically?
No, hand scraper and a hose is good.
Right,
yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you have a tank here then for collecting all the slurry?
Yeah, that'll hold a good bit. It's 9 foot deep,
Yeah, very good. So just in terms of maybe when you were, when we were helping you design the yard, and there's always a couple of choices in terms of where you put your parlour and your collecting yard.
Yes.
You went here, I suppose it was quite central to your farmyard.
It was central to the farmyard, to the access point for grazing, and beside where the most bulk of the cows are housed.
Yeah.
The milk lorry does have to reverse through between 2 sheds, but they're not complaining.
Okay. Yeah. Good. Yeah. And so in the spring, how did you find it in terms of getting cows out of your cubicle shed and the mix of grazing in the spring? And
there's no problem. They come out very handy.
Yeah.
They come out and walk down in that gate here. So and then they're facing in, So it's working. I wouldn't make any tweaks on that. Like even train the heifers before they calved, I let them run through it and just went into it. It wasn't a problem.
Right.
Yeah. The biggest issue, I suppose, the mosey up when they're finished making the mosey up the row slowly, but I think that's a natural thing. I don't know.
Yes. Yeah.
I learned to let them take their time.
Yes. Yeah. And let them do their own thing.
Yes.
So you're milking in a 14-unit parlour?
Yes. Yeah.
So are you milking with one person or two, or I know you've young children, do they help you, or what's your routine typically?
The children do help in the evenings anyway.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's I'm on my own most of the time. Yeah.
So how many rows of cows do you have then?
Six full rows being milked.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
And how long does it take you to milk?
Just gone on under the hour.
Right.
Just a bit of washing then after that.
Right. Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
And say you went for IDS feeders then, the batch feeders?
They're cheap and cheerful. They're stay at the minimum now, and if I could reduce them a little bit, I would.
Right.
I don't need the meal, but they're working well.
Yeah, good. And so you went for a mix then of an air gate in the back, and you went for a manual gate in the front.
Yeah, well, with the rope back the way, I can open the manual gate in the front from any point. Yeah. And then I'm going up behind them anyway, so it's not a big job to close it, and as I'm closing up there, I can open the gate at the back.
Yes, yeah, so and works fine for you?
It is working fine, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so in terms of how you use your feeders, do you pull the feeder, say, before you put the clusters on, or do you drop it for a few in the front? Or
as they're coming in, I pull the first 2 feeders first with one rope, then I pull the next 6, and then the last 6 as I'm walking back.
Right.
And then when I get back, then I close the air gates from here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I walk to the front usually and start putting on the clusters. If I see a slow maker on the way up, I'll put on her as I go up.
Right. Okay. So you were a bee farmer, say, prior to your conversion or whatever. How have you found, say, training heifers or managing temperament of animals here in the spring? How was?
There's no comparison with a suckler cow and a dairy cow. Suckler or dairy cow is an old pet, and a suckler cow is out to get you.
Right.
To train them, because I didn't have any experience, it was hard back in February. Yes, it was hard, but every day was a day better.
Yeah. So did you bring in heifers before they were calved and feed them, or what was your routine?
Before any of them calved, they were all used to walking through and getting a small amount of meal in it.
Right.
And that was probably a huge help. At least when they went in after calving, or at least were facing the right way.
Okay.
Yeah.
And say how many milkings in before a heifer was comfortable did you find typically, or?
How many milkings? Well, there was huge variation. I suppose 4 or 5 days, and then there was new, freshly calved ones coming in the whole time, so I didn't put a lot of thought into that. Like, it wasn't suddenly they were getting easier, because as some of them were getting easier, others were joining into the process.
Right.
after calving and that. Like,
Yeah, good. So something you wouldn't see in too many farms there is that apparatus here. Is it for...
that, yes.
Could you describe what that does?
It's it'll attach to a straight rail at any point, and you can tighten them up.
Yeah.
For training the heifers, that was a huge help, because if they're here and they can move this way and this way, they will move.
Yeah.
But if you keep tightening them and tightening them, sometimes I had them so tight I could have had to say the third cluster making the fifth cow. And, that was a huge help to train them.
Right.
Without that, it would have been double the work.
Yeah.
It was a huge help. And like once on it, it won't go back.
Yeah, it locks in itself.
And then it can slide it forward, it'll lock again.
So if you had 4 or 5 cows left in the last row, would you use it?
I probably would, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I have one for both sides.
Yeah.
And that's made down in Kerry, company down there.
Yeah, labour saving for you.
Yeah. It was a big help training the heifers. It was.
Okay.
To keep them tight. I found if you could keep them tight and they weren't moving, there was not more control.
Very good.
Yeah.
So we might move up there then. So you're just to have a look at your drafting setup.
Yes.
I suppose with sucklers you were well used to handling animals and
the
ability to handle people or animals safely.
Yes. Like I've gone through 100% AI, no stock pull needed, so they're all drafted out using this gate here. And I could operate it from down here in the pit, where just pull this and the gate, it'll open. And sometimes you could let two cows in, but that wasn't a problem. And then let off and spring load it back. I found cheap and cheerful and it worked.
Yeah.
It worked very well.
Because on a lot of farms, it's obviously people are getting up, they're moving the gate themselves.
Okay,
They're taking chances.
No, it was operation from down here. The cows are freeze branded, I used to write down on the board which ones to take out at the start of milking and check them as counter milking where they are.
Right, yeah. Good.
Yeah.
So in terms of maybe some of the automation and the features on it, have you found the cluster removers useful?
Yeah, not having milked cows before, if I didn't have the cluster removers, it would be another big aspect you'd have to learn when to take them off.
Yeah.
Whereas I didn't have to worry about it. The cluster removers are important.
Yeah. That bit of technology gives you confidence.
Yeah, it gives you confidence that they're all being milked the same.
Yeah.
I don't have any issues with the parlour. It's working well. Service is good, and it's doing what it's supposed to do.
Yeah. Say the auto washing side, we looked at it earlier. Is that of use? Do you like that in terms of, again, it's another job done for you?
It is, yeah. All I have to do is change the milk stock and press the button, and I can forget about it then.
Yeah.
It's another thing that when you're finished milking and finished washing, you can walk away and the machine will wash away itself. Yeah. It saves time.
So we have a very warm day today, I suppose. In terms of your routine before the cows come in, do you say wet the whole area first?
I wet the floor first, although it evaporates quite fast, but I do wet it first, still a routine. Yeah. And on the feeders and take these off the line. Yeah. And then when they come in, then I start the machine and start making.
Very good.
Yeah.
Good. So we might walk out here and look at your handling area.
Yeah.
So I suppose they were looking at your drafting area here, and as you passed out there, you passed through a squeeze gap.
Yes.
Have you found that space useful?
Yes, it is useful. Like I had the flask in the office there, and snip out in there. There might be another cow here, so I didn't have to be closing gates behind me. Yeah.
Okay. So you put in a slatted channel here then as well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just a little bit. There's not much. It cuts down a little bit of washing. Of dry weather, dung does tend to sit on it and dry out and that, but in general, it's worth having there. Yeah. Working well.
And is that a precast channel, or did you
you
casted it in situ?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you water floating on the bottom of that?
There is, yeah. There's it could be 2 foot of water on it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And would you wash that typically, or is there any need to?
When the weather is dry, if I don't run down with the hand scraper more than even, dung will build up on it. Yeah. Because it just sits there and dries out. Okay. So yeah, there is some cleaning necessary on it. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So you've a crush here then. So this is where you're handling your cows.
Yeah. Just it's basic enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like compared to suckler cows where I was working with, they're they're not out to get away from you. They'll cooperate more. And it's just,
I think people that are in dairying don't realise the difference with working with sucklers.
Yeah, I know.
There's a total different level.
Huge difference. Huge difference in the power of a suckler cow. I'm not saying dairy cows don't have power, but the power of a suckler cow, you don't want to get on the wrong side of her.
Because she's typically might use it.
Yeah.
Okay. So are you doing your own AI, or do you get people in to do it?
I do my own AI.
Okay. And were you doing that with your sucklers?
I was, yeah.
Okay. So you have good experience in that.
Yeah. I'm out for a good few years. Yeah.
So if you were loading in a cow into your crush, do you put one in, or would you have a queue of cows behind you, or one at a time?
With dairies, one. I find if I put two in it, she put her head up usually at the left-hand side. Yeah. Then her backbone was going that angle, and I'm trying to AI her that way.
Right.
So when I just had one, she tends to stand more straight.
Okay.
And it's easier to AI her.
Okay. Yeah. So looking overhead, then, as we have it here, you went for an overhang.
Yes. Okay. It's simple, and like you're going to be working here some wet days, and it gives you some degree of shelter. Yeah. Good. Yeah. That's fine. And so we'll walk to your footbath then. Yeah. Okay. How often would you use that? About once a month. I'd run them. I'd fill it and run them through it, and I'd keep running them through it until it goes off. Right. And then I'd leave it for a month again. Right. It's working well. They don't hesitate going through it. Don't mind going through it. Okay. So, and you didn't put it on your main exit, you put it to the side? No. Just this gate will flip over and divert in around. Yeah. Very good. And so what is your lameness like compared to? Since the summer it's been very good. Montelaro during the winter. Yeah. But it's hopefully under control. I don't think you get rid of it. I'm not sure. Well, I think it's under control. Okay, very good. And as your cows then circulate around from your main bunch here then, and they go left or right then to your paddocks? Yes. That's your routine? That's the routine, yes. Very good. Yes. So we might have a look at your cubicle shed here. So. Yeah. David, I suppose by virtue of you being in sucklers, you had sheds, you had some infrastructure to work with. Your cubicle shed, you were explaining, is close to your parlour. Yes. We might have a walk through here and just see what you have. Okay, yeah. Well, there's 69 cubicles under this roof, and there's 16 beyond. I'm going to put more beyond this year. So the cow is very close to the parlour. They can come in, and it's working well. Like the tanks were here already. Yeah. The roof was here. Just a matter of realigning cubicle rows and so on to suit. Yeah. Were the scrapers here? Or did no. The scrapers are new. Yeah. Very good. Yeah. And you're buffer feeding at the minute, are you a bit? Yeah, I'm buffer feeding some zero graze grass at the moment. Okay. Yes. At what time would you bring in the cows to do that typically at? They come in here for the buffer feeding after milking. Right, okay. And I leave them here for maybe 2-3 hours, maybe up to 4 hours after milking, depends. And then I let them out to keep them clean, and I give them some grass on the ground as well. Right, okay. Yeah. And you're buffer feeding because grass growth has slowed down a bit? Yeah, grass growth has slowed down. In total, this summer I've only buffer fed 6 loads of zero graze grass. Like, it's not a long-term thing, it's not a permanent thing. Yeah. It's just when the grass covers go down, I think they're down to about 120 kilos per cow at Farmyard. And I need to get that back up to 150 or 60 before I stop buffer feeding. Right. Yeah. In terms of your feeding space then relative to cow numbers, are you happy with that? Or? Yeah. I have plenty of feeding space. Yeah. In the winter, so they all come into this shed for buffer feeding, but because they're not all coming in together, they're coming in as they're meat, they have plenty of room there for buffer feeding. In the winter, they're in another shed as well. Right. Okay. Yeah. That's fine. Very good. David, in terms of the build project that you had here, from when you got planning, which we assisted you with, say, yes. You started pretty early and you were well ahead in terms of time. Like your milk machine was started installation in September. That's right. So you were well ahead, which it gives you a lot of comfort. But just in terms of maybe if we talk about the build project, you raised up the site quite high, did you? Yeah, well, just at this end, I had to raise up that to get falls right. Yeah. So it's a big project to take on, when you're building something. Was there any surprises or, was there a lot of lessons out of it? Or there was no major surprise. I made a lot of open doors, which is nice to be able to say. From plan permission to TAMS approval to good builder and milk machine went in when it was supposed to went in. There was no issues. Yeah. So I can't say there was any major surprises, no. Because it can be a lot of pressure on a lot of farms when there's a deadline of calving in late January, February. There is a deadline, but we were a couple of weeks or maybe a month or two ahead of schedule all the time, so that took a lot of pressure off.
Yeah.
So it did, yeah.
So who was your builder?
Mark Roberts, a local builder.
Okay. And did he do the shed as well?
No, another local man done the shed, Noel Wall.
Okay.
Yeah, gone well, very well with both. Yeah.
And how long did it take to do the concrete and the civil side of things?
It was done in stages, like the builder came first and done the tank and that, then he waited for the shed man to stand the pillar. So I suppose you could say 2 months for that.
Right, yeah.
And then it was ready for the parlour, and then they upgraded the power to 3-phase, beside the 3-phase line, so it wasn't expensive.
Right, yeah.
And ahead of schedule all the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you, as you said about the power, you didn't have 3-phase as such, but it was crossing close by.
It was crossing close by, and if we didn't go for it, we would have had to upgrade the existing transformer anyway, so it probably wasn't a huge increase in cost.
Yeah, okay. And it's a good thing to have now.
It is, yes. Yeah.
Very good.